I sit here and I can't believe that it happened. And yet I have to believe it. Dreams or nightmares. Madness or sanity. I don't know which is which.
Welcome back to another special Prime Cuts episode of Chopping It Up. This week we have a haunting film that scans as a standard fare 1970s character study, but quickly incorporates elements of folk horror and psychological horror before revealing itself ultimately as a vampire film. Tonight we're chopping up the 1971 cult gem Let's Scare Jessica to Death, co-written and directed by John D. Hancock and starring Zora Lampert. Initially conceived by co-writer Lee Kalchheim as a satirical horror film about a group of hippies preyed upon by a monster in a lake, the screenplay was significantly reworked after Hancock signed on to the project. He took certain elements from Kalsheim's script, but opted to write a more straightforward horror film set at a remote farmhouse. Inspired by Henry James's novella The Turn of the Screw and Robert Wise's film The Haunting, Hancock wanted to center the screenplay on a protagonist whose credibility interpreting events could be questioned by the audience so they could use their imagination. The filming of Let's Scare Jessica to Death took place over 26 days in various towns and villages in Connecticut, largely in Middlesex County. A brief synopsis is as follows. The film follows a woman named Jessica who was recently released from a psychiatric institution in New York, as she and her husband Duncan, joined by their friend Woody, embark on a new life living off the land in the countryside of Connecticut. They take residence in an old Victorian farmhouse that Duncan's relatives previously owned, only to be joined by a mysterious squatter named Emily. The events that follow threaten to unravel Jessica's already tenuous grip on sanity and reality. If you're interested in watching this movie, it is now available via Pluto and Apple TV. And as a reminder, Prime Cuts is designed as a quick-hitting, free-form conversation where we discuss a breadth of horror mediums, including anthologies, theatrical releases, graphic novels, shorts, and other forms of media. There is no set agenda here as we shoot from the hip and provide any gleaned insights from our respective viewings. So here we are again as I force feed you guys and make you endure my bizarre 1970s art house horror cult obsession. Prior to this, I have not spoken with any of you about this flick, so I do wonder what your thoughts are. I assume first viewings for everyone, correct?
Yep.
Sledd, first viewing for you for sure. What'd you guys think?
I liked it. It's weird and a little slow. Like the story arc
That's just the 70s.
That's just stylistically how they wrote. But if you're prepared for that, it's actually, I mean, like the payoff is good, right? The payoff's solid. Like the ending of the movie is solid. So I enjoyed it.
Jeannie, what'd you
think? I was kind of getting frustrated with Jessica. Well, let me go back. I had texted my dad and I was like, oh, on the podcast tonight, we're doing Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Do you remember that? And he's like, no. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like you talked about it all the time when we were young. I don't know if it's just because I had a friend named Jessica, but I swear to God, I wrote in one of my journals about renting this movie or something about it. But I don't remember watching it.
Hold on, for the audience who don't know, Jeannie has actually chronicled most of her life. You've been journaling forever for almost everything.
Yeah, since about 1987.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think because I went into it kind of like, it is very 70s feeling, and it takes a little bit to get used to hearing Jessica's inner monologue.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Sled's
weird.
chuckling
I,
over
I
there. Sledd, what do you got?
And I kept waiting for like the big reveal. Like I kept waiting for it to be like, oh, her husband was in and all the townspeople were in on it, on actually making her think she was crazy.
Right. Right. Sledd, what did you think?
It was very slow. It kind of made me sleepy. Had trouble holding my attention. It did remind me though, and I don't know if it's just it did remind me some of Messiah of Evil for whatever reason, just the feeling of it. I mean, obviously the plots aren't really that related, but something about the vibe. I don't know if that's just the time frame of when it was made, but
no, it's funny that you say that, Sledd.
Like
you're
creepy and
you're
it's very mood heavy. I mean, I think I probably will watch it again just because from reading about it, a lot of people think really highly of it. I just think I have to sit down and like it had trouble holding my attention. So
damn, really? I'm legitimate. I mean, most of the time I'm doing a bit, but I am disappointed. I really wanted you guys. I thought this was, and it Sledd, you're always on point. I found out about this movie because during the run up to Messiah, I'm listening to all the podcasts reviewing Messiah, and someone on one of them was like, this reminded me of Let's Scare Jessica to Death. And I was like, I had never heard of it. And I thought, oh, what a cool title. I put that in my back pocket. And then at some point I watched it. And I'd had a bad cold, so I took some medication before I watched it. And let me tell you, some medication and prescription medication. And I mean, 10 minutes in, when you get it's okay, they're out to get you. They're out to get you. Like that whole thing, I thought I was having a fucking mental breakdown, and I really did. I was watching. I was like, is that happening? And then I got really into it, and the pacing didn't bother me at all because that's the 70s. Things about 70s movies that you need to know. They don't give a fuck about pacing. They're going to take their sweet time, and I love it. And two, everyone in the movie looks like someone you'd see on the street. Okay. So even though Jessica, played by Zora Lambert, even though she is an attractive young woman, by today's standard, very much like Duncan, the husband, who's bald and, whatever, they're supposed to be like, you would never cast them as leads now, right? Because what's the dude you mentioned, Joel? What's his name?
I was like, Chris Helmsworth, right? Like, well, you imagine him like, he literally looks like Thor, right?
Right. No body hair, 12-pack abs. Right? That's who the lead is now. It's not Duncan playing the fucking standing bass and smoking a pipe, right? But it just compelled me for a number of reasons. And the biggest one, I think, which is my soft spot, my weak, is I like movies that are intentionally ambiguous and trying for that sort of elevated art, because you can interpret it very much like your junior year college lit class, where it's like, oh, my reading of it is because the director grew up in Austria during the whatever, and you can make it what you want. And I genuinely dig that. I like that they made it so that you can interpret it 17 different ways,
I personally loved the farmhouse. Like, I know that's stupid, but I kept looking at the house going, I want to go to that house. Like, I want to live in that. The attic of the farmhouse is fucking gorgeous.
Joel, that farmhouse is in a place called Old Saybrook, Connecticut, which is a spitting distance from where my family's from, where I spent a lot of time in West Haven, Connecticut. And my mom used to take me to Old Saybrook because there were these old Victorian farmhouses and mansions and that you would drive around and look. And the geography of that area is also gorgeous, right? And we got the fog settling in there, and the fields and the apple orchard and all that stuff that they show there.
I thought the location was beautiful.
Right. Super atmospheric, very much like Sledd was saying, a callback to Messiah of Evil. I liked it. And I liked that they drew heavily from literary influences. At least that's what I took from it. Like we discussed, as they go to cross the river to go check out the farmhouse, which is Duncan's family, the ferry takes them over and they have a brief interaction with the ferryman. And then later in the movie, once Jessica's losing her shit and she's trying to escape, and she comes back, and the ferryman says, it's not, the ferry doesn't work anymore, not for you, And I thought of the ferryman as a metaphor for Charon or Chiron. In Greek mythology, the ferryman of the Greek underworld carries the souls of those across the river Styx that separates the world of the living from the world of the dead, right? And at the end, she's not allowed back on because she's been bled, and Emily has at least gotten a taste of her blood from her neck. So now she's in purgatory, and the movie begins with her in this little rowboat in the middle of the water, talking this inner monologue, Jeannie, like you said, and she's, all of this is real, blah, blah, blah. And then it ends that way, and she's neither with the living on where she came from before she crossed the ferry, and she's not with the dead who are now on the bank watching her. Emily, the ghost, this apparition, this vampire, whatever we see her as, and these other victims of hers are all standing on the bank. I thought that was cool, and I don't know if that was me reading into it or if the director, John Hancock, intended it as such.
The impression I got was that they were intending that type of thing. And the reason why I say that is kind of what you pointed to, Jeannie, where it's like the most striking thing to me with this movie is the inner monologue, right? Like that normally doesn't work for me at all. But because this lady is insane, right? Like she very recently got out of a mental institution, right? According to the story. And she she's potentially being gaslit by Emily, right? Like, or she's potentially seeing spirits and vampire or whatever. Like, there's something going on this time.
She's absolutely being gaslit by her
both.
husband.
Yeah, she is being gaslit
by Duncan. Yeah, she's been gaslit by a lot of people, a lot of things. Frankly, I identify with Jessica, which probably says a lot about me. They're fucking with. Oh, go ahead.
All I was going to say is that device, like the inner monologue stuff, you almost exclusively find that in books, right? Like it's very, very hard to do that in a movie. And somehow they pretty closely pulled it off. Like it didn't set, like it was very short statements, and it was like just her thought. I thought that worked for the most part, but it's definitely the most experimental piece of this to me.
And it also closely mimics, I guess, their interpretation of, I mean, we're never told specifically what mental health disorder she has, but it mimics the sort of schizophrenia, right? Which even in her internal monologue, there's multiple voices. Her head is literally crowded with all of these competing and contradictory voices.
She hears Emily's voice a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah, she's imagining the voices of her husband and of Woody, their friend, and all at the dinner table, and and then she's looking at the plate, and that's blood instead of the juice off the steak. Yeah. Really, I thought the soundboard was what really propelled and created that sort of tension in that atmosphere. That you're hearing the voices and you're hearing all that shit, man. That whispering, it was just in my ears the whole time I watched it.
Right.
Sled, you're chuckling. What do you got to take? Give it to us.
I'm just laughing at Jeannie.
Jeannie's clearly fighting with her dog.
Jeannie's having her own breakdown, and Vincenzo is the voice in her head.
He came running in, and I'm like, I can't go outside right now. And now he just scratched my knee that is messed up because he dragged me to the sidewalk. Now it's bleeding again. Stop it.
Sled, what was your read on this? Did any of this happen? Did all of it happen? Did she create all of it? Is part of it real and part of it is her sort of retreating back into her mental health issues? How did you read this?
I mean, it's a combination, but I think ultimately, my perception was ultimately it was happening, right?
That's what I thought. Yeah, I think two things can be true.
Whether it's happening exactly as she's whatever, like I think vampire, etc.
When she at one point thought the little girl, right? Like when she followed the little girl Like,
It was a
and
young
she,
woman. It wasn't a little girl.
yeah, I guess she wasn't a little girl. She was like 20 or whatever. She was younger. Initially I thought she was very young, but I think she was actually older than.
Could have paired this with Shutter Island. Did you ever see Shutter Island?
I
It,
never
it
saw
is
Shutter
kind of
Island.
like that. Yeah, I could see that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because it's very like
I mean,
reality
he's like an
seems to be
unreliable
going in and
narrator
out.
in that, and like he's the whole time you think that whatever, and it turned. I mean, and Jesse, you haven't seen it, so spoiler alert.
No, you could, yeah, no, tell me.
He turns out he's the crazy one in the end, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but I think this inverts that. I think because they tell us up front that she's the crazy one.
oh no,
But-
it's kind of like it.
Yeah, no, that would be an interesting side by side. Yeah, for sure. Because I think they work at opposite angles of each other and cross. No, there's a lot of different components here. The soundboard
You
was
think
cool.
it's about the decline of counterculture?
I was going to get there later, but there's absolutely that sort of deliverance type thing of in groups and out groups that we talked about. The townies versus the hippie, and this is what 71 we said.
71,
So
yeah.
Have we crested with the counterculture yet?
Yeah.
And this is sort of a commentary on the decline or futility thereof. They
Summer
drive
Love's
in
like
there
69.
69. Yeah. And they drive in there with the hearse, right? With their hippie
Yep.
font on the side of love. And they're doing a bit and Woody's got the sideburns and these sort of ostentatious garments and clothing and scarves and they're freaking out the townies, you know, they do a loop around that and they have a laugh about it. But at its core, what is the statement being made? Is it the failure of the hippie in love and we're going to leave the urban blight and to go out and make our own way, but it's a failure, right? They can't even get crops to grow. They're selling off antiques from inside the house to sustain themselves, right? They take on a squatter who's there. I'm not sure. It's a little incoherent with what
I'm not
that
sure they were
perspective is.
trying. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
No, go ahead, Joel.
I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm not sure they were trying to make a commentary on, like the hippie versus like the normie thing. I think it's more of a. It's more of a. This is the backdrop of why these people came here, right? So it's like a device, right? Like they're hippies. They're leaving the cities because they don't want to be there. That's why their mentality is why they are allowing a random stranger to stay in their house, right? Like, because you, me, Jeannie, Sledd, not letting some rando Emily just stay in our house when we found her
Squatter.
squatting. Yeah.
Old hippie squatter.
Sledd just shrugged like, man, maybe. I don't know.
Sledd would absolutely entertain it.
Not-
She's hot and she plays a lute. Yeah, Sled's all over it, for God's sakes.
So I don't want to get stabbed to death in my sleep. So I'm not entertaining it. But a more free spirit, you know, I think they kind of did it.
Throws up on us. That's what he gets. The fucking vampire took him out.
Became unfree.
Yeah, he said a free spirit, and that's the last we heard of you.
Oh.
Yeah, we got you. Yep, he's out of there anyway. I also
don't know. For some reason you were talking about death of counterculture. It made me think of like the Manson murders
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. No, all that it also invokes the OG Texas Chainsaw that we did way, at the maybe second episode we ever did on Chopping It Up. I don't know. Like the hippies driving around. You remember the alt title for Texas Chainsaw was Mercury in Retrograde, and they were reading from that sort of horoscope book. And the commentary that I thought Toby Hooper was making was, it is incoherent. It's all gobbledygook. It's all bullshit. The whole ostensible ideology of the counterculture and the hippies and all that stuff is like, no, it doesn't mean anything. You know, it's just bullshit. And I kind of get that vibe from this, like trying to make their own way for what reason. And then you also add into that sort of facet that I was pretty enamored with was like, what is the romantic / sexual dynamic going on here? There's a married couple and their friend Woody. And the three of them are going to move into a house together. You can't, and then they take on a squatter, an attractive squatter woman. You can't tell me that there's not some sort of polyamory going on here. They're in the lake washing each other, and you'll note
Washing each other, yeah.
washing each other. It's
Yeah.
not husband and wife and squatter and other guy. They swap several times. And now I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Joel and
Definitely
I,
putting a pineapple in front of their house.
I was saying, Joel and I known each other a long time. We're in a lake
You're not
washing.
washing my back, Jesse. You're not
I'm washing Joel's front. No, he's not washing Andrea. He's not. You don't get to scrub my wife down with your bare hands in the lake. So I'm sorry we're just not doing that. And
yeah, yo, man, you're just not.
I'm just a
free
square.
enough.
I'm just a square. You fucking
That means so
squarehead.
square.
But that's also
Doesn't
visited.
mean
But
anything.
it also crosses gender and
Yes.
because Emily basically caresses and corners Jessica in the attic at
Yes.
some point to her great
Mhm.
discomfort,
Yeah.
trying to seduce her effectively.
Emily needs to learn about consent.
And then, I don't think she's
Just saying.
concerned with
She's a
that.
vampire.
Vampires
Well-
are not big into consent.
Well, so
I am
Kind of the
amazed.
opposite.
You guys keep saying
Other than
vampires.
once you let them in.
yeah, hold on. I want to hear.
And-
I want to hear Jeannie's take. Yeah, because this is where
Vampires never occurred to me.
Is she a ghost? Is she an apparition? What is she?
Uh,
Because she has
supposed to be a vampire.
Sled.
Well,
So
'cause
here we
all
go.
the
This is-
slicing and
This is the reimagining of.
She even offers to leave until they invite her to stay.
Oh, that's a
the
great
night
point.
when they first
That's a
invite
great point. That's a great point. Well, Sled. So if that's the
her. You know,
case,
people have like bites and shit on them.
yeah, they
Yep.
got right. But here's the deal: she has
They'll
They
have
were like,
she has
It's
no
scars.
They're not bites. She has no fangs. She bleeds them with a knife. Right? That's how she does it. We see her with the
Right.
knife. So I do
all
agree.
I'm saying is Dracula's probably not cool with that.
Well, this is a difference between the cinematic and the literary origins of vampirism, as I
Dracula's
understand
like
it.
lousy hippies, always using their knives.
Is this-
What would Blackula say? I'm just wondering
I mean,
how
there's
Blackula would feel about it.
we've been on the vampire tip for a while now. I just feel like they're reimagining. And how did she become a vampire? They say she drowned in the lake, right?
Yeah.
That was the lore behind that family. And remember her spitting image in the old time photo that they find in the attic is
Yeah.
basically Emily as a younger woman, or as the same because she,
Maybe
So-
it's like the portrait of Dorian Gray.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think, yeah, maybe.
I just thought there were a lot of different ways you could go with this, especially when you start the whole thing off with an unreliable narrator. And then the lens through which the viewer gets to see it is whatever we want it to be, which is, again, what I really enjoyed about it. And I think it's the same thing, like Sled, you said with Messiah. Hancock, which I guess we can get into his filmography a little bit. He wasn't like a dummy. He was trying to make a statement about this, and I think it started out, it was supposed to be more of a, like
More
like
of a comedy.
yeah, more of a comedy with it. I think they were sort
You
of
want
like
to hear
Blair-
the alternative titles?
yeah. Go ahead, Joel. What do you got?
All right, so working titles and alternative titles, because history's gotten a little blurred over the last 55 some odd years. But the one that comes up over and over again was "It Drinks Hippie Blood." That was that was the initial working title.
That is a very long.
The other one, what's that?
That's a very long title.
What
That's
was it
very
again?
it's very long.
Yeah,
It
read it again,
drinks
Joel.
hippie blood.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The other one is, and I kind of like this one, is "The Secret Beneath the Lake." I think
do
that
like
one's
that one.
pretty.
Yeah.
That sounds
And
very
then-
much like this new genre of thriller books,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It's always like The Secret
Yeah.
Beneath the Lake, The Woman in Cabin 10.
Yep. And this movie has, I mean, you guys already kind of talked about it, has gotten to like cult status. And over the years, it's estimated that it has made a collective $20 million on a $250,000 budget. So the royalties in total, right? It made $47,000 opening weekend, which is pretty good for $250,000 budget, right? Like, so, like, the movie has done well. It took a long time, but I mean, people are getting paid for it.
Yeah. John Hancock, like I was about to say, he did Bang the Drum Slowly in 73,
Yeah.
which was a big one. And the other notable one that from his filmography was in 87, he did Weeds with Nick Nolte. If you remember that one, that was kind of a solid rotation on cable for a few years. So, you know, he did some quality stuff. You know, I think there were several things here that stuck out to me. It's almost like it wasn't sure what it wanted to be, or it actively embraced that it was going to be multiple things. It's the psychological horror, it's the vampire, and it really is a commentary on mental health, you know, and it does a serviceable job sort of straddling those lines. And for me, I guess not for you guys, but for me, it was compelling. I liked watching it and seeing where it was going. The last 20 minutes, Sledd, at least the last 20 minutes where you're like, all right, so stuff is happening now. Let me see what's going on. Did it at least compel you toward the end to know what the conclusion was going to be?
No, like I said, I mean, I just think I need to watch it again. Maybe a couple times.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting is this idea of the inner monologue, right? Like, is it an inner monologue at least the entire time? It's not clear to me, right? Because inner monologue is your thoughts, right? Like, is Emily broadcasting her thoughts, right? Like is she telepathic?
Right.
Because we hear at some point in Jessica's mind Emily's voice, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and I think that's really interesting. It makes things even less reliable, right? Like, because we don't know if it's an inner monologue or if it's
Is there an element? Is there an element? Is this like Bloodbeat from our Christmas? Does Emily as a vampire have telepathic powers that she is infiltrating Jessica's thoughts?
Maybe.
Is that a real thing?
It's unclear, but
I mean,
maybe.
there's a lot of weird shit going on externally as well as internally in this movie, right? Like, these events are happening, presumably. Duncan, her husband, is cheating on her. We see him have sex with her with Emily in the middle of the night. Yeah. We see him kiss her through the car window before he goes into town.
Jessica sees that.
Jessica sees that out the window from the attic. A lot of these things are happening. The woman, the young lady in white, who we think is a figment of her imagination, they catch her. They chase her through the woods and they catch her, and she's a real person. She has a voice and she's a real human, and it validates Jessica's suspicions. And even though she's doubting herself and she's being gaslit by multiple people in the movie,
the townspeople.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta talk about the townspeople.
The townspeople, all old dudes with various scars and bandages on them from presumably being bled and turned into, but they're not. Are they vampires? Are they ghouls? Are they?
I think they're more like ghouls. I don't know.
Are they daywalkers like Grandpa from Lost Boys? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how does this work?
Oh, did we decide Grandpa's a daywalker?
I decided that during the discussion. Did you?
I will tell you this: the fact that you went to Grandpa from Lost Boys for Daywalker when Blade's right there is wild.
I never saw Blade.
I'm still stuck on that you got vampire from it.
Well, what did you? So what did you get?
Blood.
Well, I think it was advertised.
I mean, the antique dealer says at one point, it's rumored that in fact she's a vampire. That family's of vampires.
Oh,
right now.
I missed that part. I think I need to rewatch this.
It really is.
I need to rewatch
vampire thing through.
There's a lot in it.
What?
See, you guys thought
ghouls, or maybe they're like what's Renfro?
Oh. Shit.
I mean,
Kadeem Hardison, sure.
It's like a familiar, but it's not, right? Like, what is
Yeah.
that? I don't know what
See,
that's
you guys
called.
thought I
might be
was
cool.
you guys thought I was bringing some fucking bullshit Jesse movie, and it turned out to have some depth to it, and you guys were not prepared for your fucking cursory watch of it. Okay?
No,
I already
was
told you I liked
thinking
the
it was
movie.
like Microwave.
What'd you say? Microwave Massacre? Is that what
Microwave Massacre.
Oh god, a fucking gem. There was another thing that I caught when they go to the antique salesman, right? And Jessica's sort of fascinated with that lamp. Do you remember that lamp while she's there? It's so beautiful, and she's looking at it. It's got all these multicolored. Right. And so he explains to them that the lamp is called Malflore in Italian, but that's actually but it's actually Mille which means 1,000 flowers. Okay. The director, John Hancock, tweaks it to be Malflore, which means flowers of evil, to echo the sinister content in French symboliste poet Charles Baudelaire's collection by the same name. Right. So he's trying to tell us all these things. Everything has a double meaning to it.
Freshman year Psych 101.
Dude,
in your dorm room after getting high.
I cannot get over it. It's look, she says, Emily says as she finds the dress or whatever, do you like my new old dress? My new old dress. I mean, she's telling us in no uncertain terms that she is, in fact, the woman in the picture, which they try to get rid of, but the picture still hangs in the attic. Like,
yeah, probably because that picture is haunted.
The whut thing is so fucking.
Made its way back.
And
the British Film Institute, I just was reading this, put in 2012, they do their rankings or whatever, and this movie landed at 859 greatest films ever made. Like, so there's only 858 movies better than
there we go.
Honestly, that's pretty good. that's a lot better than I would have said. But
I mean, it's no sleepaway camp, but yeah.
I mean, I think Sleepaway Camp's pretty goddamn great. I was surprised.
Sledd even enjoyed that one. He could not help but enjoy that one. Artie the cook, you had one of the greatest takes of all time in that. Come on, Artie the chef. I can't remember if that was his name or not. But also I forgot to mention, but with that same lamp, Jessica is a really good line. If we were still doing our best quotes, best lines, Jessica is looking at the lamp and he explains to her the flowers of evil line, and she looks at it and she says, how can something so beautiful be evil? And it's really that quick metaphor, obviously, for the character Emily, right? Being this seductress, this vampiress or whatever. Which is funny, actually. Speaking of Emily, the actress who plays her, Mary Claire Costello, who didn't have a really established filmography, but in as much as she did, in 2000, she did the TV movie Shadow of the Blair Witch, which I know we just did Blair Witch recently. So she got some work. She had a unique look to her. They all had that 70s unique look to them. And I got to be honest, Jeannie, I could tell you each time I watched this, and I watched it 3 or 4 times, every time I looked at Woody, the friend, all I could see was Moondoggy. All I could see was Papa Joe Simone is all I could see.
Because Woody is his dad's name.
Is it?
My grandfather's name.
Are you serious?
My dad's middle name is Woodrow, and then his dad's name was Woody.
Sledd, spitting image. Jeannie's dad looks just like Woody, the buddy from this film.
In the 70s, yeah.
In the 70s.
I was really worried at the end when she ran after him as he was spraying the highly probably cancerous
toxic
that's DDT pesticides.
They're spraying DDT all over the place.
DDT. Yeah, it's not good for you.
She runs through it. It gets in her eyes and in her nose and in her mouth. Yes.
I want us to be like, go out and then zigzag back in front of the spray.
She was having an episode. And then he's dead too. By the way, I'm sorry, Woody, I loved Woody a lot. He just wanted to get laid and the vampire turns him down. I don't even understand how that happens. Yeah. You can't even the vampire doesn't even want to fight with you. Yeah.
Twice.
She's like,
that guy had a
let's
good mustache.
He
was
had a
rocking
solid
good
stash.
mustache.
He was not. He had a nice coiffure, a
She
nice head of
only
hair.
had eyes. She only had eyes for what's his face.
She wanted Duncan. She wanted Duncan. She liked that.
Was that
she liked that. She liked that's right. She liked that bald head, which I can't fault her for. Right? I mean, some guys.
True.
So, no, there are interesting dynamics here. There's literary allusions. There's that whole unreliable narrator thing. Everything about it I dug. The cinematography came together well. The soundboard was cool, the way they fit in all the voices and whispering into the microphone and stuff to mimic the internal monologue she has going on. I thought it clicked on a lot of cylinders. I think it's I'm not going to sit here and say it's a masterwork, but like, what do they call those? Like a B-side from a B-side album or something that's like kind of a gem. What do they call it? Like a minor masterwork?
Like
What's that?
Like a deep cut?
Maybe like a deep. No, I was thinking like a
Unsung hero?
Minor masterwork, I think. Is that right? But then that sort of undercuts what I'm
gem?
saying. Yeah, it's like a hidden gem. I do think it's not a cult classic. It's not a fucking crazy great thing, but it's something that I think is provocative enough and put together well enough for the budget it had, which wasn't much, the small cast and the filming locations. And I thought it did a lot with a little. It's a little bit like a
Well, some people regard it really highly.
I do, but I don't know how highly. I'm not going to
retroactively from what I've read.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think this could be the kind of movie that watching it 2 or 3 times elevates it in your opinion, really, because there's definitely stuff I missed where I'm like, now wait a second, what did that mean, right? Like, like little things where I think it could be more interesting. Because since the pandemic, my attention span is trash. So
my brain's oatmeal.
These older movies are often hard because like, if you're not really paying attention, because they unlike modern shit, they don't like just dump in a bunch of exposition to explain stuff to where you're like, oh, okay, like I wasn't
apparently I need
you told me what's going on now, so I know. Whereas like you actually a lot of times have to watch it, and you can interpret it in various different ways depending on what you're like picking up on and stuff like that. So,
well, that was one of the things I really liked about it was they just,
I mean, that's a compliment. I appreciate that old movies for sure.
Yeah.
There's the vague illusion, but they never get into any real specificity with what was wrong with her, what happened, how she got out, where she was. They just say she was sick, but now she's better. And then occasionally the Duncan will say, you're making me, are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm okay. And I thought it was really cool. Some of the dialogue, like when they initially walk into the old house and she leads the way and she's at the foot of the stairs. And as soon as she looks up, she sees this fucking pair of legs run by and she doubts herself, right? She goes like, am I fucking crazy? Duncan immediately says to her, I saw it too. It's okay. And I thought that was super cool. And that could have been done in such an obtuse way if it were done now, like you're saying, Sled, like they would have beat us over the head with it. But that really is like, he cares for her. He's trying to reassure her. She's unsteady. And we don't know if we really see it. Are we supposed to see that? Or is that supposed to be a ghost that we see that she's imagining? So there are layers to it that I think it does get credit for. It tries it at least. And again, Jeannie, this is your dual ranking. How much did you personally care for it? What did it do for you versus where does it rank in the canon of actual horror movies? So
I also think it's a really good looking film. Like the aesthetic of the just the scenery, like we talked about, the house, and just the cinematography in general, I thought was really pretty darn good.
That fog was fortuitous. That was real fog that they were like, oh shit,
really?
this fog is rolling in, and they fucking panicked. They're like, we have to start filming right now to at least get some exterior shots done. So they had a little bit of luck on that end. But yeah, it's a super competent film from a technical perspective.
In fall, I was reading that the water was super cold.
Yeah,
I bet it was.
I read that too.
Yeah, you can kind of
It
tell.
didn't look warm.
Well, when she's in the water and you see in the backdrop, the whole lake is surrounded by the trees and the foliage is like multicolor, and you're like, oh shit, this is like this is not. Which, by the way, Sleepaway Camp also filmed in the fall. The same thing. You can kind of see their breath sometimes. But I don't feel like I mean, did we want to discuss anything else? I don't feel like we missed much here. I think we carved it up pretty nicely. Sled, do we have a hot take for this? I've been waiting for a Sled hot take for a while on this. Nothing.
I don't think so.
Well, I tell you what, Sled, we're gonna feed you. Okay, we're gonna get Hereditary and Babadook. We're gonna pair them up for a full length son of a bitch, and you better come out smoking with both guns blazing. Okay.
I'm just gonna fucking shred that kid in the Babadook. Holy fuck! That's the real villain in that movie.
I swear to God, I swear to God, I knew you were gonna say. I swear, I was
That
like,
accent, it'll drive you crazy.
Sled would slap this kid around something fierce. I know he would. I know he just wouldn't be able to take it. Sled will kick people out of fucking Passover Day. He'll kick you right out of Seder. I've heard about this.
Praying for the Babadook.
All right, let's rank this. We got to get 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. How many machetes? We do machetes for prime cuts and cleavers for full length eps. So we're looking at 1 to 5 meat machetes for this one. I'm gonna lead off because I hate all of you. This is a solid 4.00002 meat machetes from me. I loved everything about it. It's not a perfect movie, but it does a lot, and it really tries to be something bigger than a standard fare horror flick. Joel, what'd you think?
Yeah, I got like a 3.75. Like I think this is. I think if I watch it another time or two, I'm gonna like this movie a lot more. There was enough there, and I think the failing of the viewing is on me, right? Stuff I missed.
Error.
I think if you were just a suggestion, if you're feeling under the weather, that you should take some cold medicine, right, and then maybe it makes you feel better when you watch the movie. You can really focus on it. Jeannie, what do you got? Yep. We'll have Sled clean up.
Yeah. I'm gonna go like a 2.75. It's a little low. Average,
it's a little low, Jeannie.
I think again. Yeah, I think I could bump it up to 3 because I think it works in the sense of it doesn't hit you over the head with the horror.
Yeah.
And it's that literally psychological that I tend to dig, that I think is effective as a horror mechanism.
Can you at least commit to getting Moondoggy to take a viewing of this movie and then let us know what he thinks?
Yeah, he should, because I feel like he talked about it in my childhood. I'm gonna find that journal entry, that diary entry.
That's right. Sled, bring us home, brother.
I mean, yeah, I think I could. I mean, I think if I watched it more, I feel like it's got like a 4 potential.
Okay.
Based on my initial viewing, it would just, I don't know. It was, like I said, the pacing. I was a little sleepy. I was after it was on. I didn't watch it till yesterday, and then Saturday was a rough day, so I was also lightly focused, I think. But yeah, I think it has potential for up to like a 4.
I'm going to take it between this.
It's interesting.
I mean, right. There's stuff happening. This is something that wants you to think about it as an elevated art form.
I mean, I like creepy mood a lot, so it's got that going for it.
You definitely had that.
You know what I really like? There's a sort of, and this is again a hallmark of like 70s films, a sort of intimacy in those little kitchen scenes where they're just eating, and there's like cans of the old pull tab cans of Budweiser beers, and they're eating like real food and playing music and talking shit and smoking cigarettes.
You see that in, what was the movie that we just watched? Kind of about Thanksgiving. The Samurais.
Oh, Bloodbeat.
Oh,
Bloodbeat.
Oh God, I love Bloodbeat. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I want some Tang and some hot tea. Give it to me on my waterbed. I want my mesh trucker hat on and in a bathroom
where the guy drinks a full glass of whole milk.
Oh, that's blood. That's oh fuck, man, the Thanksgiving
one, right?
Yeah.
Blood Moon, Blood Freak, Blood.
No. Too much blood.
Blood Rage. No.
Blood Rage. There we go.
It's Blood Rage. Yeah.
That's the scariest part of that entire movie is him drinking that glass of milk.
What the hell are we gonna do for Thanksgiving? There better be another Eli Roth.
I'm
fucking
hoping
Thanksgiving
Eli
vehicle.
Roth comes through with Thanksgiving
We're
too.
gonna be ass out for Thanksgiving unless Sledd comes up with something. All right, I'm gonna bring us home unless anyone else has anything to say here. Thank you once again for joining us for another special Prime Cuts episode of Chopping It Up. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and hope you enjoyed the art house cinema that I bring every so often. Thanks once again for joining us. Tune in next time. Thank you, sir.
Well, no one told me about her, the way she lied. Well, no one told me about her, how many people cried. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she acted, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.